The village of Spencerport, prior to the building of the Erie Canal, was just another farm. The farm through which the canal passed at the Caughnawaga Road had been purchased by Daniel Spencer in 1804 and was sold off to become the first village lots. The village began about a mile and a half north of Ogden Center, where business had begun to flourish. From that moment on, however, business in Ogden Center decreased and that of the new canal port increased. The village was first called Spencer's Basin, but was soon changed to Spencerport. As commerce on the Erie Canal prospered, so did the fortune of the residents of Spencerport. In the late 1800s, Spencerport was a bustling canal center. Warehouses shipped out produce such as grains and beans. By 1900, Spencerport had 3 hotels, 3 grocery stores, 2 drugstores, and 2 shoe stores. Shops encompassed every trade and included 4 blacksmith shops, 3 cooper shops, 2 sheet metal shops, and many other trades. Manufacturers included a fruit press manufacturer and a sash and blind factory. On April 22nd of 1867, the state legislature passed an act to appropriate Spencerport as a village, and the first elections were held with William Slayton as the first president. The office is now known as mayor. The first store in the village was Weston Richards on the north side of the canal. The first tavern was run by Daniel Spencer and was located on the south side of the canal. The first mail was brought into Spencerport by stage from Parma Corners. The first postmistress was Sarah Lincoln, who served until 1897. At the turn of the 20th century, business in Spencerport was still prospering. In 1910, the Chamber of Commerce had a banquet with 100 in attendance for both Spencerport and Ogden. By 1917, with World War I being fought, the demand for produce was a boon for Spencerport farmers. Many young men from the area were either involved in the war effort or making high wages at defense plants in Rochester. Municipal water was installed in 1912 through the efforts of many prominent citizens. This greatly aided the efforts of local firefighters, with hydrants strategically placed throughout the village. Electricity was made available in 1917. During the early 1920s, all the streets in the village were paved, sewers were installed in 1931, and a disposal plant was built that year as well. Involvement in the community by the citizens of the village has given Spencerport the strength it has to this day. From the early days of the volunteers of the Spencerport Fire Department, founded in 1890, to the Spencerport Lions Club, founded in 1956, many organizations have formed to help Spencerport grow. Although goods and produce no longer travel the canal, it is no less important to the future of Spencerport. To this day, the Erie Canal remains a vital part of Spencerport, with the focus now on recreation and tourism. The village of Spencerport is an important stop on the western New York stretch of the Erie Canal. A revitalization effort to extend and improve the trail alongside the Erie Canal recently had Governor Pataki choose Spencerport as the spot for a speech highlighting his plans. Governor Pataki, that was a while ago. Condensed and compiled from portions of the book 150 Years in Ogden, 100 Years in Spencerport by Earl E. White, published in 1967. For much more of the history of Spencerport as well as Ogden, this book can be found at
I can tell you that we're talking 40 some years ago, and it wasn't this big, so they makeshifted. There certainly wasn't a Dollar Tree then. I don't even know if Dollar Tree existed back then. So that's a Tops, and if you're familiar with Western New York, you know what a Tops is. And then over here, they totally redid it over. So my dad would go up to the bar, and I couldn't find the particular bar that was up there. It's on the main street that he would hang out there when we visited my grandmother. And then, yeah, behind me is the plaza where I would hang out. So behind me is the plaza I would hang out, totally redone and revamped, and there was a used bookstore, which is long gone. They moved it a couple times. They moved it from the long stretch of the plaza to the end here, which is now a restaurant I see, which you'll see in the video. That's long gone, the used bookstore. I'm sure the guy that owned it is long gone. We're talking 8-10 years old, and we're talking 40 some years ago, you know. So my dad would hang out at the bar on the main street when my mom was visiting my grandmother. So I hung with him just to the fact that I could come over here. He'd throw me a few bucks to get some comic books. So it was all a mutual understanding among the family. Dad at the bar, mom at grandma's, Chris at the checking out the comics. One memory I remember distinctly, I don't know, it was like an evening or something. I don't know, my mom must have been hanging out with my grandmother. Her house was only maybe 2-3 miles from here, and there was an altercation at the bar, and one guy told another guy he'll throw him through the freaking window. He didn't use the word freaking, and the girl that was with him hid behind me. I must have been 8-9 years old, dumb as a stump. And thanks, Dad, for bringing me to the prime spots of it's Spencerport. It's small-time America. Obviously, they had a lot to drink, and no one went through a window, and all was fine. I couldn't find the bar, though. It's not there anymore. Not much has changed beyond the Tops, the plaza. I don't know. Structurally, it looks all the same. So it's hotter than hell. I gotta turn on the air conditioning.